The TrekWorks YouTube channel is sponsored by Tenant Controls, makers of lighting kits, soundboards, and more. Tenant Controls brings your models to life. Welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 of our Jason and the Argonauts build-up series. And you can see here we have in the shot, this is the base that I showed you guys in the introduction video. The work that I did to this since then is I just basically took it inside and washed the entire thing with some Dawn dishwashing detergent and some Mr. Clean to make sure I got all the mold release off of it. And then I just went over this with some basic spray can primer, some Duplicolor standard automotive primer, and it's been drying here for about a day, so I'm ready to do my next step to this. So what I'm going to be doing here first to show you is I'm going to start doing some pre-shading on this. Now you can see it's kind of a medium gray color, so I want these to look more like the old Roman style rocks, or stones that they used to cut and put things together out of. So I'm going to go with a shade of white here. I've got just basic pure white. It's going to look kind of bright here at first, but we want to go with a light color because we're going to be doing a lot of dry brushing on this and a wash on this with some different colors, and that's going to start making it get darker as we go, and it should wind up about where we want it to be once we get to that point. So I've just got some standard white loaded up in my airbrush here, and I'm just going to start going around kind of at random and starting to do a little bit of lightening up on this here and there, leaving some of the gray because we kind of want to make this look mixed up a little bit. So I'm just going to start off here on the top and just start laying down some of my white, and it doesn't look that much brighter when I'm laying it over at the top of this than the gray does, but I'm just kind of highlighting in the center of these shapes. Around the edges of them, we want them to be a little darker as they trail off like you typically see on stone surfaces that have been put together. A lot of area to cover here. This thing's big. Just having a lot of fun working on these, as you can tell by my comments and my videos, and I'm really liking this kind of change of pace here for a little while. Like I said, I haven't done a lot of these figures or these kind of shapes. I'm used to painting a lot of kind of machines and starships, cars and stuff like that, but this will be a lot of fun working on this. You can see I'm just kind of streaking it here and there, just lightening it up a little bit. You can already see what a difference it made. That looks pretty cool. Okay, we're just gonna swing it around here. Now this paint that I'm using is some of my standard Speedseeker automotive paint. It's an acrylic urethane. It's a solvent-based paint, so it's going to dry pretty fast. Craft paints dry quite a bit slower than this does, but this will make a good base for our other colors that we're going to be blending on. We're going to be using some of the craft paints for that. do our wash and our dry brushing. You see, I'm not trying to cover the entire things. I'm just trying to make them look, you know, uneven in their colors a little bit here. That's exactly what we want to happen. But we don't want it to look airbrushed. We want it to look, you know, kind of natural. So I'm just kind of going around at random. Go on this last end here, and we'll be done with this process. Perfect timing. We ran out of paint right on the last section there. Okay, let's kind of spin it back around. I'll show you the top here. You can see that we've got already, you can start seeing the effect of where the, you know, the recessed areas already look a little bit darker, you know, the pitting and everything and the rocks and all that, and that's exactly what we want. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get some, mix up some dark brown craft paint, some of my stuff right here, Americana. It's called dark chocolate, and we're going to put this in a little cup. I've got to dilute it with some windshield washer fluid. That's what I've been using to reduce this stuff. And then we're going to start dry brushing on here. We're going to actually do, well, not really a dry brush, we're going to kind of do a wash. We're going to just kind of concentrate on these little gaps around here, and we're going to be wiping off as we go along so we don't get a whole lot of brown on this part here. We just want it in the recessed areas. And then we're going to mix up a black after that, and then go back over that and get, that's where we're going to be doing kind of an overall wash and getting, you know, all those little the nooks and crannies and the pits and everything filled in. And then we're going to do some shading on it here and there with some different colors. So we'll be right back, guys. Let me get my paint fixed up and we'll see you in just a second. Okay, everyone, back with you again, and I've got my dark brown paint mixed up here, just reduced about 1:1, and we're going to start doing these gaps in between the stones here and start adding some detail on this. So I'm just going to really carefully put my brush in here and just start going along. And what I want to do is I want to wipe off the excess when I get it on top of the rocks. And this is just going to kind of blend in as we go. It's going to take quite a bit of paint. And we're going to, you know, be putting a little bit of a brown stain on this as we smear it around and stuff too. So that's what we want. We want to bring that natural look out of this and make the, you know, recessed areas look a little bit darker. And it just looks like, it makes it look like, you know, there's been age going on in there, and it's starting to stain the rocks as it, you know, as time goes by. And you're just trying to mimic what you see kind of in real life when you start playing around with this stuff. I may have to go to a cloth towel here. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to, because this surface is so harsh here that it's just eating this paper up like really fast, just like sandpaper. So I'll grab a towel here. I've got these detailer towels that I use all the time. Let me grab one of those. That should work a little bit better for us. Put a little bit of water on this too. Wipe off a little bit better. Actually, I think we'll use a little bit of our windshield washer fluid instead, since I'm out of water in my bottle. got through that pretty quick. As you can see, what's happening here is it's just right around the edges. It's starting to kind of, you know, overall put like a little bit of a more of a tannish look on these rocks now as we wipe it away from those edges. And that's fine. That's exactly what we want it to do. So, worked on the front there a little bit so you guys could see that, but I'm going to work on the top now. This is not hard to do at all, guys. Just take your time, and you know, you just kind of want to think about the colors that you want to use before you start, you know, and then you want to kind of stick in the same realm of colors because they'll all tie together in the end. You'll see as we go along here exactly what I'm talking about. So we're just going to use shades of brown, a little bit of black that will bring some gray detail back to this. Like I said, when we talked about when we started there, we wanted to go extra light because it's going to darken up as we start putting these layers of this shading on here. What I'm probably gonna do too is on towards the bottom around some of these little spots right in here, I'll probably put a little bit of green, make it look like it's getting a little bit of mold on it here and there, kind of like I did on the pillar on the Medusa diorama. And I've got some, you know, some stuff that we can make a few weeds with here and there, and I've got some kind of grinded up, you know, kind of grass material, and what we can do is we can put a little bit of glue on here and there with a brush, and I'll show you a little trick for that here in a little bit, where I've got this little atomizer tool that I use for different things with model building, and we can puff a little bit of that on there and it'll stick to the glue and it'll look like moss is kind of growing up on the sides of this just a little bit. We don't want to overdo it though and make it look really, I don't want the green to take over, you know, but we can just add a little bit here and there just to give it a little bit of, you know, a little bit extra realism. This is working out really good so far, guys. I'm liking it. Just going in these cracks. Sometimes I wipe too much out of there and I gotta hit it again. No big deal. Well, it's looking pretty darn good though. And this will get darker still because we're going to do a little bit of black over top of this. That's what's going to make the all the little pits in the stones really start to show up really nice. But overall, we're getting a nice, you know, tannish, off-white look to this. Okay, let's go around here to this end. A couple spots that I got kind of thin here. Let's just redo that. Just kind of stay away from it. Let that get in there. Looks great. Okay, let's go around this end now. say, you don't want to wait too long when you do this, because if it dries you have a harder time getting it off there. We only want it to stay down on those cracks, and we don't want it to do too much to the other surface here other than just a kind of a light stain, if you want to say that. And just to give it some more emphasis on the sides, I'm going to actually brush some on here. Top it's flat, you know, so it's kind of laying on there by itself. On the sides here we just need to make it pop a little bit more. You can wipe and you can tamp, and you get two kind of different, you know, effects when you do that. It's, like I said, it's really fun to play around with these techniques, and it's kind of at random here. We'll just kind of, you know, highlight it a little bit, make it look like some of that stuff's running down there. These are getting old. But just kind of showing you here where you guys can see it. It's looking pretty good, huh? Maybe in this low light it's not showing up too good for you guys. I'm not too sure here, but it's looking really good in person. Got a frog in my throat today. I've had a lot of people that have allergies around here really been getting hit this year, and it's affected me a little bit too. I don't have too bad of allergies, but yeah, it's been pretty nasty. That combined with it's already been 100 degrees every day. I'm trying to work out here in the shop when it's early in the morning and late in the evening when it's cool. Around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, even with the AC on out here, it's just about unbearable. We're in for a long, hot summer. Been hearing that it's hot all around the country, but I guess that's better than bitter cold winter. Most people don't mind the heat as much as really, really cold weather. But you can see this is looking really good, guys. We'll just do that same thing now here in a couple spots. We'll just drag it down a few spots. Just give it a little light wipe. Really looking good. Let's go over here to this one now. Mowing through this pretty fast, guys. Pretty happy. I have been working on one of the skeletons. He's over there drying off to the side. What I came up with on him is I used a little bit of, I'll show you what I used here just a little bit, but I used a little bit of, I listened to a lot of the suggestions that you guys had and the comments from the last video. Quite a few out there, it seems like, have worked on some of these. So we pinned the arms and the legs on the skeleton. I didn't do his head because that seemed to be pretty stable, and it doesn't have weight on it really. The arms and the legs, especially the legs, have quite a bit of weight on them. So he's a pretty heavy guy after he's built, I can say that. But so I did a little bit of that, and I've been painting him a little bit. So we'll show you how he's looking here. I'll wind up layering him with several colors to get the look of the, the aged bone, and plus they're supposed to kind of look like they, came out of the ground. So we did that, and did some shading on them here and there. We got a shield on there, got that painted. I'm going to send off the printed shields that we showed you around the paper there to my friend Jerry at HDA Model Works. I sent him an email, and he said he thought he could do something with it, so we'll send that over there and get those turned into decals instead. I think they'll lay down on the shields a whole lot better. And Jerry always likes working on stuff that's kind of unique like that, so he's always willing to chip in and help. Great guy, really creative guy too. If you ever need things like that done, don't hesitate to contact him over there. He does great work. Okay, we're over here to the just about the final part now. Let's just do these cracks first. Pretty deep on this side. I think they're cut deeper on this side than they are everywhere else. Definitely so. This might be what's supposed to be the front. Really doesn't tell you, but we'll probably use this for the front. Too much paint there. But you can see we went through this pretty fast, guys. Not hard. It's all working out really good. Okay, so we'll just take and drag and drop here a few times in a few spots. Don't have to worry about being perfectly straight everything right now. Just put it where you want it to be and go from there. This. Now we kind of want to make sure we're wiping straight down and not going crooked. Just give those one or two more layers here. Okay guys, so there you see that we've done our first sort of shading on this, just in the basic cracks with some dark brown there. So what I'll do now is I'm going to switch again and get my black wash going. And this time we're going to kind of go over the entire thing, and that way we're going to start bringing out the highlighting, the detail on these pits that are in these rocks, and make those really start popping. So we'll be right back with that, everyone. Okay everyone, right back again, and I've got my sort of, it's not, I mix this up not 100% black. I mixed a little tiny little bit of white with this, so it's like a super dark gray, and I decided that would look pretty good. So now we're just gonna go over with the broad brush here and just start doing each little panel at a time here, and that's going to bring out our detail of the recessed chips that are in this, and pits. And we'll just kind of go one at a time here, dabbing it in there. You might have to do it once or twice, because it kind of like tries to reject it a little bit. Kind of wants to flow out of there, but so far so good. We don't want to overdo it. We don't want it to look, just want to give some subtle hint that has some age to it. It's mixing in nicely with our brown. Just gonna hit these. And we're just gonna do the same thing again. A couple little streaks. What I'm going to start doing here, I think, guys, I can see I'm going to do more panels, and that way it's going to give this just a little bit more time to kind of sit in there and firm up a little bit, so it'll stay on there just a little bit more. I'm actually wiping too much of it away for my taste. I want it to be just a tad darker, so we're going to go ahead and redo this whole top row here. Give it just a second for it to start to dry just a little bit. And then we'll get rid of it here. That's working better. It's staying in the cracks better now. Tamping it a little bit instead of wiping, it's working good too. But you can see what's going on here, guys. It's changing its very look right in front of us. Really cool. Once everything is all tied together, that's when it, like I said, we'll do a little moss on the side here in a couple spots, and maybe we'll go to another darker color here along the bottom in a few spots, because that's where it gets dirty. Every time it rains, the mud splashes up on it and things like that. Like I said, things that you see on real objects. That's all we're trying to do here, is just kind of keep that theme going on. Just gonna lightly tamp it now. I'm gonna let it stay a little bit darker on the bottom, like I was talking about. You can see that. Change it up a little bit. Let's go ahead with this one again. We'll make that extra dark there on the bottom. So I'm just going to kind of stay away from that bottom a little bit, bring that out. Real good. That's looking great, guys. Really nice. Looks almost real. We're getting there. Okay. Oh, we'll swing around here. Actually, let me go ahead and do the top while it's here. I don't think you guys can. I can bring you up a little bit here. Sorry for the bumpy ride. And get you looking down on it here a little bit. You can see what I'm doing up on top. It's a really rough surface. It takes a lot of paint just to cover it up. So we're extending this out farther and give this a little chance to dry. Now you'd think that on something like this, that in reality the top probably wouldn't be as dark as the rest. The recessed areas would probably be fairly dark, but the top would be probably kind of sun bleached. So just kind of think about that as we're going along here. Got another, I've got to remember what colors I used here, because we've got another little section. You know, this is not the, this is just the centerpiece of the base. We showed you the whole base in the introduction episode. There's, you know, a little piece, a little bit of land that wraps around this, and there's another row of stones that's, you know, just one row high. So we're gonna have to make sure we match that up, but it won't be a problem. We'll use the same color paints and everything. This is going to take a while, folks, so you're probably getting bored seeing this one process going on and on and on here, and it's just going to keep repeating itself. So I'm going to go ahead and go off camera now and go ahead and finish up doing this basic wash and with our black, and then when I get it finished I'll come back and show you how it looks. Promise not to skip over anything. We're going to figure out what we're going to do next here after that. So let me keep on going here, guys, and when we come back you'll see it all finished up here with our second layer going down. Okay everyone, well I'm back with you again, and I've worked my way all the way around this, and I've got it all finished up with our two shades now. We went with our chocolate brown, and then we did our black. Getting pretty close to where I want it to be. I don't want to overdo this thing. You know, it's, these rocks were originally supposed to look kind of a, you know, whitish, ivory white to like off, you know, off-white, kind of light gray a little bit when they were new, and so we don't want to, you know, get too carried away here and make them start looking too black. But what I've got now is I've got some raw sienna, which is more of an orange, and I'm just gonna, and I've got it mixed up a little bit thicker too, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go around in a few spots here and there and just make some stains that are kind of coming down out of these things, and we want a little bit of that going on around a few spots here. Just kind of going at random. Tip your brush on its side and then tip it on its edge, and you can kind of, you know, change up the shape a little bit. Don't want to overdo it. Just a little bit here and there, and then we're just going to lightly go over it, just to kind of make it, you know, it's not supposed to look too stark, but just some little bit of weathering going on here. You can see how that's staying with it a little bit more than the other stuff did, because it's a little thicker the way I mixed it. Okay, and that's pretty much giving me what I wanted there. Just take it down and make it more faint in some spots and a little bit more pronounced in others here. Don't want it to look like rust, I just want it to look like, you know, dirt starting to come out of it. You know, they put this stuff together with the old school methods and everything, so over time that stuff would start coming out of there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to see if I can figure out what I did with it here. I'm going to go back with a little bit of black. Just blend that in with that stuff a little bit. Okay, love it. All right, now we'll do a little bit on each end here. Maybe not quite as much. A few little spots. Great. All right. Go on the back side. Big hunk of resin. Whole lot of resin going on. Just a whole lot of fun, guys. Hope you're all out there doing these kind of builds yourself, or you've tried it before. If you're primarily been building cars or sci-fi stuff, you know, ships and stuff like that, you ought to give something like this a try. It's really a lot of fun, and it's definitely interesting to kind of, you know, start playing around with this stuff. And I'm fairly new to it. Like I said, I've done a little bit of weathering on stuff before on military models and stuff, but just these figures is just I've really found a new kind of passion for it. I really enjoy it, and not to say that we're going to be no longer doing Star Trek builds, of course, but every so often I'm going to take a break and do one of these again. In fact, I've already took a look at another kit after this, kind of staying on the Jason and the Argonauts theme, the fantastic figure of Talos, the big statue, the kind of bronze statue that came to life in the film and picked up their ship and dumped them all out of it, and they finally had to defeat it. There's a really nice kit of that out there. It's kind of it's another one by Monsters in Motion. It's a diorama that has the Talos figure standing over the kind of the two rocks with the ship trying to get away in between it and the water, and so I'm probably going to order that one too. Don't know if I'll build that one for a while, who knows, but just to have it, you know, it's currently available over at Monsters in Motion, and those darn things, when they disappear for good. It said right on there it was a limited run, and once they disappear, it's really hard to get them. If they do pop up there, you know, it costs you an arm and a leg to get them. I spent quite a bit of money on this kit, but you know, the amount of time I'm going to be putting in it and everything, I think it's worth it. It's just a lot of fun to work on, and be a beautiful display when it's all done. Have it the rest of my life, so I think that's totally worth it. Let's get rid of some of this down here. Okay, so we pretty much got all this down. I'm going to go off camera here and get another little bit of paint. I'm actually going to get some of my white. Actually, I can just walk over here and grab it real quick. I've got this in a cup, the same stuff that I had in the oops, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera there, guys. Same stuff that I had in my airbrush there, and I'm just going to really lightly dry brush down the side of this now in a few spots, and that way we're going to break this up a little bit. Just kind of going back with my base color there. Just to give it a little contrast again. Just kind of on this one side I got a little too dark with my raw sienna there. Alright, now we'll come back, throw raw sienna again. Just sometimes you gotta just do what you like, you know, what fancies your eye there, guys. So leave that one kind of dark. Looks good, kind of contrasting with the rest of them. Okay, I'm liking it, guys. I'm liking it. All right, so now what's next is I'm going to can't stop playing with it, guys. A lot of fun. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get some of my green oil-based paint, and we're going to brush on a little bit of green here in a couple of these cracks along the bottom in a few spots. The reason I'm using an oil brush is that we can kind of do a really nice kind of a stain with that, where it'll, you know, when you see green moss, it's kind of thick and then it kind of trails off on the edges. So we'll do a little bit of that, and then we're going to take some of our grass that I talked about, the little powdered grass that I have. We'll put it in the atomizer. We'll put a little bit of glue on this, and then we'll puff it on in a few spots, and you'll see what I mean, where we can make it look like the, you know, the algae or the, you know, the weeds or whatever kind of starting to creep up on it a little bit here and there. We definitely don't want to overdo that though. Just do it in a few couple, you know, spots. So let me get my green oil-based paint out, and we'll do that, and we'll come right back. Alright everyone, well here you can see I've got my green oil-based paint. This I have a whole set of these in all different colors. You can get this over at Hobby Lobby for about 10 bucks with a 12 different colored set. This stuff lasts absolutely forever because it's extremely concentrated. You don't need very much of it. A little bit of this goes a long ways, guys. So we're just gonna make a little puddle here on the my piece of cardboard that I've got set out here, and we're gonna kind of smooth it out a little bit with our brush. You notice I'm using the same brush. I just keep using this kind of medium flat brush. Just, you know, gonna spread this out a little bit, and then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of pick out one of these cracks, and we're going to start putting a little bit of this in here and a little bit around the edges, maybe in a few little spots here. Definitely don't want to overdo this though, guys. It's just going to be very subtle. Let me drag it up a little bit. Okay, about that much. Then we wipe this off, and I'm going to use my same windshield washer fluid. Now this stuff can be broken down with either terpenol that breaks it down real good, or even water will break it down kind of halfway, but so will this windshield washer fluid. Now I'm just going to drag it. You can see it's making it sort of, you know, it breaks it down and it makes it more look like it's kind of, you know, getting faint around the edges there. Don't want to put my arm in that green stuff, or I'll get that all over everything. That stuff seems to travel, guys. It gets on everything. It's messy stuff to work with. But you can see Okay, gives a little bit of a stain there. And if you don't like it, if you get too much, just tamp it down. Get rid of some of it. If you don't like it, you can wipe it right back off. Once you get that all where you like it, you let it dry for a good hour or so, and you can put some Tester's Dull Coat or something like that over the top of it, and that'll seal it. Let me zoom in on this for you, and you can see what that did. Okay, so if it looks a little too contrasty for you there, which I kind of think it does, I'm just wiping off my brush real quick, and I'm just going to take some of my, not my sienna, but my brown again. I'm just going to kind of go around the edges of that a little bit, and that's going to blend it just a little where it doesn't like end so abruptly, and it, you know, it gives a multicolor which you see on natural looking stuff. Okay, just something like that. You can see the difference that made. Camera kind of highlights colors a lot. You know, I've got the camera setting so it works underneath these fluorescent lights in my shop, and it kind of makes the colors look a little too strong. But in person here, guys, it looks really, really nice. Okay, so we've got that on there now. So now I'm going to locate my, I've got a roll of this kind of fake grass stuff. Let me find that real quick, guys. We'll come back. We're going to scrape some of that off of there, put it in our little atomizer bottle, and we're going to puff a little bit of that on here, and it'll add a second layer to our green here. It'll look you know, more like the real stuff that's creeping up along the sides here with the kind of the lighter staining around it. So we'll do that, and we'll be right back. Alright, I found my fake grass here, everyone. You can see it's just a basic roll of stuff that you can either glue it down as is, or you can scrape the stuff off of there and apply it, and that's what I've been using this for. I originally had this stuff back when I was working on my Enterprise refit, and I used this for the grass in my Arboretum. I just scraped it off like this and then glued it down in there where I wanted it, in my park setting there. But we're going to get it off of here, get a nice little pile going on. This stuff comes off pretty easy, just using a hobby knife and scraping it off. And we're going to create some moss on the side of our platform here. Just a little bit more. You can buy this stuff already, you know, in sort of powder form, but it works just as easy to scrape it off. That should be plenty. Okay. Now I'll get my little atomizer tool here. A lot of you guys that have watched my channel have seen me use this before. This is you can get these online if you don't have one. Through a just look up any type of you know, like an automotive detailer supply company. This is called an atomizer. You just normally what they use these for is they use these for, you put this little kind of crushed velour fabric in there, or flocking material, and you can fix like cigarette burns and stuff like that. I used, you know, this is what I was doing for a living. You know, doing automotive reconditioning repair, you know, painting bumpers, doing things like that, fixing stuff on the interior. So a lot of these tools are kind of crossover tools, but I was using this for my model cars. I have all different kinds of colored flocking in different grades. You know, you can get fine, medium, and kind of coarse. And the fine stuff is what I was using for adding carpeting to my model cars. It looks really realistic. A lot of you guys have already seen that. Like I said, you can get one of these. If anybody has this, can't figure it out or whatever, just drop a line in the comment section, and I'll leave a link to where you can get one of these. So we've got it all in there, and you can see it's sitting in there ready to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little paintbrush here, and one of my old kind of crappy brushes, and we're going to take a little bit of Elmer's glue, and we're just going to make a little puddle here. lot. And we're just going to pick a spot like right here, right where this kind of green stuff is, you know, that we did, and we're just going to make a little line, you know, kind of going up with our glue, and down around the edge a little. And we'll have it so it's kind of creeping up here a little bit. And then we just, before it gets too dry, just puff it on there, guys. Let's extend this up just a little bit more. And spread it out just a little. And we'll come over here and do some along the bottom. Just on these areas where we put a little bit of our green. See that, let me get you up close, what that does, really realistic looking moss or algae or whatever you want to call it. And what we'll do is our little, like I said, our little base comes around here and we got another row of rocks, you know, so we'll probably put a couple little weeds in there too, you know, like we've got this weed material. We've got some that looks sort of a faded green, and then we got some that looks really brown and old, you know, like it's dead. And we'll just kind of mix that up, and we'll put a little bit of that around in these areas kind of close to where these are, because, you know, vegetation tends to stick together, you know, wherever it starts to gain a foothold, the other stuff kind of hangs around with it. So but there you go. And really easy technique to do on that. Now I'm going to go around and do a few little more spots here and there on this. Not going to overdo it though. Like I said, we only want to do it in a couple spots. I don't want the whole thing all to be green, you know, all the way around. I'll just maybe do one on the side or something like that, and a little bit on one other side, and then that'll be a wrap for that, guys. So I thought I would just show you that little technique for that. If you haven't tried that before, it works really good. Just something I kind of figured out by myself. Okay guys, I'm going to clean up a little bit around here, finish doing that, and when we come back we'll have a final look at this thing. I don't think I'm going to add many more colors to this, guys. I really like it just the way it is. Like I said, I don't want to overdo it. I don't want it to start getting too dark. It looks really close to the way it looked in the movie right now, so I think we're about done with this. That wasn't too hard, huh? Okay everyone, be right back, and I'll show you this thing kind of finished up, and we'll bring out the skeleton and show you how he looks standing on the top of this thing. See you in just a second. Back with you once more, everyone, and mission accomplished. I went around and got the rest of the base all touched up here. I just did a little bit more of this green in a few spots kind of at random, and so it's all done, and we're going to stop right there, guys. This base is looking exactly the way I wanted it to. It's really close to the way it looks in the movie. I said we want to be careful not to overdo it. You know, you can easily start going too far, and you know, it's going to start looking like it's got a bunch of makeup on and not looking natural like it does right now. You know, these rocks look just right. So now for some fun stuff, guys. I've got one of the skeletons here that I've finished, and I'm going to stick him up on the base here so you guys can see what he looks like. You got to kind of pick out a spot here between these cracks. Now I've got him so he stands up pretty good on his own, we definitely got to be careful with him. And let's see, let's kind of get him up where he's going to be here. He's kind of in the middle a little bit. Actually, let's turn him a little bit here so you can see him better. And get you zoomed in on him just a little bit so you can see the detail, and I'll explain what I did. I fiddled around with this for a long time, guys. This thing, the assembly wasn't too bad, but when I was painting it, I just could not quite get it the way I liked it, and I finally, because I started off with a base coat of ivory white, and then I did a black wash on it to get, you know, to bring out the detail in the ribs and the skull and everything. And then doing that, it just kept looking too gray. I just didn't like it. And so what I finally wound up doing is I took some tan and some raw sienna, and I just kind of started touching it up here and there, and that brought it around a lot more to my liking, to where it looks like, kind of old faded bone that's been in the ground for a little while, and then we kind of made him darker in his recessed areas and everything. You can kind of see, maybe if I just hold him up and bring him close for you. He looks great. And then I took a little bit of my really tiny brush and did all the, highlighted all the little cracks in the skull that you see. Did his teeth, did the ribs, did his back here and everything. I'm still doing a little bit of touching up on him here and there. I've painted the sword. I've got the part of the handle painted, but I've actually beat up the sword a little bit, did a little bit of weathering on it. I figured the sword was in the ground with these guys when they came up out of the ground, so and these are ancient warriors, so I figured the sword would probably be a little bit beat up. And we got his shield all painted here. Now these guys have different colored shields. This particular guy has a black background with gold trim, but the other ones have sort of a brown, and then there's another one that's sort of an off-white, like almost like an ivory white. And then of course we have the center logos that go in there that we're going to send off to Jerry and get those done in decals, so those will look really nice. Once we get all that on there, that's going to look really good. I got to finish painting his hand a little bit around here, and I've got to finish painting the the handle on the sword on the top part and clean that up a little bit. That's still kind of rough up there, but for the most part, the skeleton himself is done, and he looks great. Now let's set Jason up here for you. Back up here a little bit, and you can see how this is going to look. Basically, we've got him kind of in this pose, something like this, where he's looking right at this guy. They're coming at each other, and Jason's got his sword kind of right here, ready to hit back, and he's got his shield where he's holding it up over here, like getting ready to protect himself from the lunging attack of the skeleton there. So it's really cool, and it's straight out of the movie. Now, building the skeleton, I got a lot of comments in the last video when I was talking about asking for some suggestions. I had never glued together a steel model or a metal model before, and a lot of you had some great ideas. Now what I wound up doing is I wound up pinning this thing. I'll show you what I used here. I used some of this solid copper wire, and it may not look very sturdy, but when it's cut pretty short, it actually is really sturdy. And you really just need something to guide the two parts together and keep them locked together. And so I used this. I cut off a piece really short, maybe about like that long, and then I drilled the corresponding size hole into each part, like whether it was in the arm or into the shoulder, or the upper thigh bone, or into the hip. Glued it with CA, and then once I got it all kind of put together, then I just kind of went back around the outside and put some more CA on it and just let it dry. I put a little bit of zip kicker on there, and it's pretty solid. I mean, you don't want to slam it on the ground or anything like that, but just in its normal position and everything, it seems like it's really solid. And of course, like I said, we're going to pin this guy to the base. We're going to pin Jason down. All the other 6 skeletons on the rest of the base, we're going to pin those, so they won't get disturbed once this is all complete. And he'll be just fine. He's never going to collapse or anything like that. Now, I'm feeling a little bit like Ray Harryhausen on this thing already, because the skeleton himself, to get the pose where I wanted it, it was really tedious. I wanted to have him in a natural lunging look and look like he had his balance and everything, and then positioning the arm the right way, and the way he was holding his shield, and the angle of his ankles and his legs. When I showed you the kit right out of the box, you remember that all these leg pieces and everything and the arms were all bent at like 90-degree angles, so I had to be really careful and straighten some of them and bend them a little bit, and just kept playing around and tinkering around until I finally got it. I basically started from the ground up. I started with getting his legs and his hips right first, and then worked from there. So we've got to do that on 6 more skeletons, and they're in all different kinds of poses. We've got one that's sort of laying on the ground that looks like he's trying to get back up. We got 2 more over here that are kind of lunging with their spears. They're holding a completely different pose, and then the other 2 over here kind of getting ready to crawl up on top of this thing, and they're kind of looking up. So it's important that we aim their heads in the right direction and all kinds of stuff. So it's going to be a little bit tedious, but what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to show you working on the individual skeletons, and we'll get those all finished up. And so now that our base is pretty well done, and we're going to end the entire build series by doing the work on Jason himself. Now this is going to be a lot of fun. I've gone back and watched the movie again, and I took some screenshots. I got all of his colors figured out. His clothing here, you've got sort of an off-white, and then you've got the black for his armor, and all these little, decorations on his armor are all done in gold. You got a kind of a gold wrap that goes around his sandals, and then you've got his shield and everything's real beautiful. And then we got to do all the face and the hair and everything. But there's going to be a lot of fun to be had. I've done a little bit of preliminary work on this, but you really haven't missed anything. There was just a few pits in the mold here and there, and I've sanded down some of the seam lines from the casting. But so he's just about ready for primer, and when you see him to start with, I'll have them all primed, and then we're going to take you through the entire painting process on him. Mostly it's all going to be by hand, which will be a lot of fun. But our skeleton guy's looking really cool, and we'll get our little shield decals made from Jerry, so they have the nice symbols in there, and that'll make that pop even a little bit more. So this is going to be awesome, guys. Now, the rest of the base, we have that kind of thing that kind of wraps around there. You won't miss anything. I'll be doing the exact same colors, the exact same thing here that we did on this. It's just a single row that goes around this, and then we have the land. We'll do the land in kind of a brown and gray, And then, like I said, we're going to probably put in a couple little weeds here and there, and maybe some loose rocks. I have some little rocks from a Diorama landscaping kit that I had that'll look good laying around here and there and make this look a little bit more realistic. So I hope you enjoyed this so far, guys. I'm having a lot of fun. A little change up here. Like I said, we'll be back doing our regular stuff. I'll only be doing these from time to time. We'll be back to doing our starship modeling and all that. Not to worry. We'll be revving up again on our Battle of the Matara Nebula. I've got everything I need pretty much for that, just waiting on a couple small little things, but I've got enough to move forward with that, so I'll make another video on that, giving you an update on that here really soon. But I'm really, really having fun with these figures. It's something different, a nice little change up. I'm building lots of starships in the background for my clients, and so this is a nice little break. It keeps me fresh and keeps me going back and forth on different subjects that I really enjoy. So I hope you guys are enjoying it too. Thanks for watching, everyone, and leave your comments. We really appreciate that, and thanks for subscribing. Like always, we've got a kind of little burst of new subscribers. I guess they're enjoying these figure builds here, so I'm enjoying it with you guys. Take care. We'll see you in a couple more days with another update where we'll be back with you working on some of the skeletons, and that's going to be a lot of fun trying to figure out how to get them all posed the right way and everything. So we'll see you in a few days, guys. Until then, take care and happy modeling.